Hello everyone and welcome to the video. My name is Ralphie and in this episode I'm going to show you which Roland Boutique synth I like the best. Okay, so which Roland Boutique do I like the most? Before I reveal which one it is, I have demoed the whole range on music stores and also just listening online. And my critique with the Boutique series is, especially if you've owned like a couple of analog synths, you can tell the difference. Especially in my ear, I can definitely tell the difference between an analog and digital synth. When you're collecting synths and acquiring gear, it's all very subjective. It depends on your personal tastes, what you currently own. Like there might be certain models that are double ups in terms of sounds. So you really want to, when you're buying an additional synth for your collection, kind of fill a gap that you don't already have. So there's that too. It's very subjective in terms of what sounds you like. And it's also, it's very subjective in terms of what music you make as well. I find when you're collecting synths, there are probably two personality types. One is the programmer. The programmer loves knobs and having to deep dive into the menus. They love that sort of stuff. And two, the second type of person is really just a musician. So I fall into that category. I don't mind using presets, like I'll obviously use the presets and maybe add additional effects and things like that to make it my own. But I get inspired by presets, so I'm definitely in that second category. So why did I only buy one Boutique synth? Again, for me, it was because this particular synth filled a gap in my collection. My favorite two manufacturers of synths are actually Roland and Korg. I just think they are very inspirational. So I do love my Roland stuff, but at the same time, I'd rather pick carefully and pick quality over quantity, because in the past I have gone for like cheaper models and you get that new taste and new buzz flavor when you've got a new synth in your studio, and then it kind of goes away after 6 months and then you kind of regret buying it. So I'd rather buy something quality up front and then not have to worry about it again, kind of thing. So in terms of other Roland synths I already own in the studio, I've got the Roland Jd Jd 990. That's one of my favorites because inside it's got the vintage expansion board. So it's already got the classic synth sounds from Roland. Now this module was made in the 90s, so it was from timestamped from that point on. But I mean, you've already got, if you deep dive into it, especially if you look at the vintage expansion board, you've already got Junos and JP sounds and all that sort of stuff there. So a lot of the Boutique series is revisiting that, but the sound quality is not as good. To me, it sounds really thin. So that's the difference between a digital synth sounding very thin and an analog synth sounding really full, especially with like the bass frequencies. It just sounds really full and fat. So if you're not used to analog synths, you probably won't recognize that. And I liken that to, say, if you have normal speakers and then studio monitors, you only really know what you're missing until you've kind of heard the better quality. So I'm not a purist or anything, but I have heard the difference between digital and analog, and I prefer analog where possible. And obviously these Boutique series is digital. They touch on the nostalgia kind of thing, so there's a market for that. And I've even watched a couple of the demos from Roland themselves. They themselves say that this is a gimmick product, so it's not to be taken too seriously. However, there is a line of producers that are making really cool music with these, and so it really comes down to the user. You might have too much gear and no idea. It's all about the idea. So anyways, I digress. Which model did I go for? Well, I've tried them all out, but this is the one that I like. Ready? Oh yes, the SH101 or 01A, which is based off the 101. I believe there was a guitar version on the original and just the normal. But why did I buy this one? Well, it filled a gap in my collection. So my collection consists of the JD990 as mentioned, but I also currently own the JDXI, and the reason why I like that is due to the 4 parts and sequencer. I also own the TR8, and that's because I love having sort of a drum machine with all the classic sounds and have the faders there and there, so I like the TR8. I also own the Roland Juno Stage. The reason why I like that one is it's got sort of the classic band sounds which fits my type of music, and it's also very inspiring. I find a lot of the patches are very usable, and I'm all about usable patches. And I believe that's all the Roland stuff that I own. This one here filled the gap. Why did it fill the gap? Well, I was demoing this in the music store, and the squelches in the synth is what actually intrigued me. So music by producers that I sort of listened to as a young teenager would be like Timo Maas, and it has those squelchy sounds, which is really missing in my other synths. So that alone made me want to get this. Obviously it's a really cool bass synth as well. It's got really cool bass sounds, and I've got other like Korg instruments and things like that that do synthy bass, but yeah, it was just the squelchy stuff that I enjoyed most about this synth. So remember, if my tastes are just completely different to yours, and I just wanted to share you what my thoughts were on the Boutique series. It may be good for you, it may be not. I think they are a little bit overpriced for what they are, especially if you're, comparing it to something like a used synth that you can get from the used market. And I really do think that with this series, Roland is just kind of hitting the nostalgia strings, and I'm not saying it's a cash grab, but it's kind of a novelty item in my opinion, because it's digital. The one main downside as well is a lot of these synths, other than I believe the D series, a lot of them are only 4 poly, so you can only do 4 notes at a time. So you see a lot of demos online where people are playing like this kind of thing, and not like the full musical pad composition that you would normally do if it was at least 6 poly. So those are my thoughts. What do you think about these Boutique sounds? Do you have any favorites? Do you have any dislikes about them? Let me know in the comment below. So that was my, I guess, review and overview of the Boutique series, and why I like only this one. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. Hit the like and subscribe. My channel is all about music gear, music production, as well as some gaming, is all the interests that I'm into. So smash the like, and thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.